All right, time to talk about losers, man. With a lot of hype coming up in the draft, hopefully none of those players wind up on this list.
It's now conference finals time in the NBA playoffs, so I've decided to keep the NBA theme video
Latrell
going.
Sprewell.
Except this time, I'm going to be looking at who I think are the
Why
10
do I confuse
biggest
him and Steven
chokers
Jackson
in NBA
all the
history.
time?
Unlike other videos of mine where I rank things,
despite
there
looking
really
at
is
the
no
jerseys.
one set
You know what?
criteria for what makes a player a choker. It's one of those
Will
things
gotta
that
be
you just
up there,
kind of
bruh.
know it when you
Oh,
see it.
man.
And as a basketball fan,
probably
if you've
is. No
researched
shot
and
he isn't,
studied and
right?
seen as much NBA as I have, there's certain players who, well,
Oh, wow.
you just don't
Oh.
fear in the big moments.
Uh-oh.
So get ready to get your pitchforks out. Right.
Pre-Steph Curry, and that's not my hate.
Carmelo Anthony. Melo
Uh-oh.
is a fan favorite
Melo.
for reasons I've never completely understood. I guess people just love watching a guy do a couple jab steps and then settling for
Not
a mid-range jumper.
too
Melo
much
is one of the most
on Melo.
successful scorers in NBA history, but that's really all he's good at. And honestly, he's not
He was
even
a good
really
rebounder.
good at that
He was-
in the
he was
postseason,
good.
which is why he makes this list.
Good
You
free
would
throw
think that
shooter.
a guy who is a
Sure.
quote-unquote pure scorer would be super efficient in the playoffs when things slow down, or at the very least not see his efficiency fall off of a giant cliff. In 5 separate postseasons, he shot below 38%. In the
Ooh.
playoffs for his
Ooh.
career, he shoots just 41%.
Chill out, bro.
Sage, that's bad. Sage, that's bad.
Chill out, bro. Chill out, bro.
Sage,
Chill out, bro.
that's bad.
Y'all not
I ain't gonna
factoring.
lie,
Y'all
bro.
not factoring a lot of things right now, bro. Don't let them click back. Let me pull up.
Average shooting percentage. Yeah, look that shit up, bro. That shit is still below. That shit.
Nah.
41% is crazy. Sage.
I'm about to cape.
A motherfucker who can't pass and can barely defend, or is okay at defense, bro.
You're about to count non-prime years, bro. 3-year peaks, bro. You're talking about rookie Melo, 3rd-year Melo. You're talking about man, get that bullshit out of here. I'm not counting his
the
rookie
third
season. Not counting his 3rd season. I'm not counting his OKC year when you wanted to damn near kick him out the league. I'm not counting the years after that either, bro. I'm talking Knicks. I'll take any season from 07 to 2013, and that averages out to 43%, which sounds not the best. Sounds not the best, but I promise
shit
you
went
there's
up
some
by
players that
2.
apply to.
Nah, that's crazy. What was blood cooking? What was he cooking?
Chad, I'm tired as hell, bro. And that's just, I tried Melo. Nah, my man Melo. Not look. Efficiency. If you're a box score watcher, and that's what you're gonna. If you're a box score watcher, and that's the type of takes that you have, then fine, bro. But I watched the game. That's a pure bucket right there. Defense happens. At the end of the day, he did what he did to make his team win basketball games. Unfortunately, he just never had the proper roster around him. Facts.
32% from 3, with an effective field goal percentage of 44.6, which is dreadful. Don't be fooled by his 23 points per game when he's taking a bunch of shots, even by his standards, to get them. Outside of 2009, when his team made the Western Conference
that
Finals,
clip is
he's
so
won
crazy.
one playoff series in a nearly 20-year career. In 16 playoff series total, he has a
accidents
3-13
happen.
record. And while I don't like using team results broadly to define a player, when you look at how many times Melo has underachieved individually, it does a pretty good job of explaining why
Now it
his
matters.
teams have never come close to winning shit. Number 9, Chris Paul. This
Wow.
one is a little bit hard to explain on the
Really?
surface because when you look
Really?
at Chris Paul's efficiency
think Melo's
and
a-
his in numbers in the playoffs,
I think
he's
Melo's
one of
worse
the
than
best
CP,
playoff
but-
point guards ever. But
Significantly.
remember at the beginning of the
Chris
video
Paul
when I said
rises in the
sometimes you
most
just get a
part.
feel from watching a player.
I could
that he's
actually
going to
name
find a way
marquee
to
Chris
mess it
Paul
up. That's
playoff
Chris
games.
Paul in a nutshell. His
Right.
entire career, he has blown massive opportunities to win championships or advance further in the playoffs and failed miserably. And
tell
it's
you-
been this way
gonna
virtually
say
his
about
entire
Melo,
though.
career. He blew a 3-2 lead in 2008 versus the Spurs and lost Game 7 at home. In 2000.
Let me ask you this, Sage. Is blowing a 3-2 lead a real thing? Does that count as a lead? Technically, you did have a lead and you blew it. But it's like, I don't know. Because literally, the game before, it was Game 5. It was split 2-2. Motherfucker had to win. right? So I don't. Yeah, someone has to win, bro. I don't know.
Like, yeah, no, you literally are basically saying, well, you choked the best of 5 series. Like, no,
Yeah.
bro. You choked my bad. That's technically incorrect. You won the best of 5 series. You choked the best of 3 series. Like, that's not a choke. If me and B-Souls play rock, paper, scissors right now, I beat him the first game and lose the next 2. You're calling me a choker? like, that's just how it works, bro. Not, like, I think Twitter brains have definitely run with the 3-2 narrative. I'm interested to see what he has to say, because again, if we're gonna even take the same bar as Melo, the Melo one I was trolling, the Chris Paul one, you don't even have to do what I did. That nigga consistently elevates and offs outside of like old Paul years. Even some of the old Paul years, he was good. I don't see this at all, to tell you the truth.
He lost by a historic margin in the first round. In 2012, he got swept and played like crap in the second round versus the Spurs. In 2013, he blew a 2-0 series lead. In 2014, he choked away an extremely winnable Game 5 and a 2-2 series.
Now that's true. He did choke that like
fuck. Of course, you can forget the fact that he helped blow a 3-1 lead in 2015 versus Houston, although I will say this was a little bit more bad luck on his part. In 2016, he got hurt and his team blew a 2-0 lead. In 2017, he lost Game 7 at home in the first round. 2018, he famously got hurt in the conference finals versus Golden State, went up 3-2. The next year in 2019, he lost in 6 to Golden State in the second round after a miserable Game 5. In 2020 with OKC, he lost in Game 7 in the first round. In 2021, he made it all the way to the finals and blew a 2-0 lead in embarrassing fashion again. But it wasn't done yet. In 2022, in the second round, he had a 3-2 lead over Dallas and lost the last 2 games of the series.
He is crazy, though. That nigga
playing his team at 33-point home loss in Game 7 before again losing the second round this year with Phoenix after missing most of the series versus Denver with injury.
I will say this about Chris Paul, and a lot of factors do play into it. It's not just Chris Paul. Chris Paul has had a lot of really talented teams, and for him to not win it all is crazy.
He should have had a ring. I'm not caping in terms of he hasn't choked. Duh, he has. The Thunder one, he could have really won it. Chris Paul proceeded to like miss a shot, turn the ball over again, and his whole moniker is the point guard, or point god. Sorry. Like, my thing is, when we're talking about chokers, I'm not asking a guy like Melo to just come out the cut and randomly be efficient. He held Melo to a standard that's given to him, fair enough. But like with Chris Paul, the reason why I don't think he's a top 10 choker is, for the most part, the point god thing lives up. He just doesn't end up winning all the way, and that does factor into it, obviously, but I don't think he's a top 10 choker in history. Even if you're going to call him a choker, I definitely don't think he's top 10.
Simply put, you cannot rely on Chris Paul in the postseason. Number 8, Joel Embiid. Some might say it's too early or a little bit of recency bias to put Embiid on this list, but to me, I don't think so. Can anybody tell me what his best postseason moment of his career is thus far? I mean, seriously, come on.
Sage, did you actually think? Because I'm not going to lie, the first moment that came into my head was Kawhi's shot. I'm going to be... like, it wasn't even about Embiid. I was like... Kawhi shot just came in my head, bro. I don't... Pause. Pause.
That came into your head was the Kawhi shot is crazy.
Insane, ayo. My bad, yo.
That is wow. Shit, I couldn't think of one.
That's your answer. No, don't look it up. That's your answer. Can't think of one. That's tough.
He's 29 years old and he's never made a conference finals, but it goes just beyond that. In fact, Embiid has won to this point just one playoff series in his career where he played in every win. In 3 of his 4 playoff series wins, he missed a game with injury. In almost every single postseason of his career, his points per game and efficiency have dropped off markedly.
I want to talk about this cat picture, though.
Embiid supporters will say, well, he's been hurt most of his career in the playoffs, and to that I say, doesn't that just strengthen my argument? You can't rely on him to be healthy in the most important games, and even when he does play, he falls off of a cliff individually. He's had 3 separate chances to get to a conference finals and is 0-3 in Game 7s. There's obviously still time for him to turn it around.
There's the teams he'd be losing to, too.
He has been one of the biggest playoff
that's my
of
thing.
any
He'd be
superstar
losing
in
while
NBA
you
history.
think he
Number
dropped
7,
off
David
there.
Robinson. It absolutely pains me to do this to a troop, but there's no way around it. David Robinson was a playoff choker. Because he's such a class act and because he has 2 rings, which he won as the obvious second banana behind Tim Duncan, people seem to forget that David Robinson really stunk in the playoffs by his legendary standards. He made the playoffs 12 different times, and 9 out of 12 times he saw his points per game drop. But it wasn't just the per game averages that suffered, his efficiency suffered mightily as well. In 14 regular seasons, he shot below 50% just twice, whereas in the playoffs, he shot below
That is bad, though.
50%
I'm
8
That
out
is
of 12
crazy.
times.
That is bad.
I would say that if not for Tim Duncan, David Robinson would be most remembered for getting the crap kicked out of him by Hakeem Olajuwon in the 95 Western Conference Finals, which, by the way, is the only time Robinson's Spurs ever made a conference finals without Duncan, despite consistently being one of the better teams in the league during the regular season. Simply put, the Admiral played too much like the Private in the postseason.
This
That's not a
is
sex
ass.
joke. That's just it's a military ranking joke, I swear. Number 6, Patrick Ewing. Unlike David Robinson, Patrick Ewing wasn't lucky enough for his
So
team
these
to
are-
stumble into
these are
Tim
best
Duncan
players
to
in the
help him
90s?
win 2 rings at the end of his career. As is a common
Ron
theme with most
Solo.
of the players on this list, Ewing not only saw a massive decrease in per-game production, but also efficiency come playoff time. In 13 seasons with the Knicks, he saw his points per game drop from the regular season to
That
the
third
playoffs
season looked
10
crazy, though.
out of 13 times. He also was a 51% career shooter in the regular season with New York before dropping to 47% in the playoffs. It might not seem like a big difference, but once you add it up across 135 playoff games, it stands out, especially in the 1994 NBA Finals, which was the closest Ewing ever came to winning a ring, where he had 132 points on 160 shot attempts. Ewing gets a pass from a lot of people because he quote-unquote ran into MJ, but basically the guy never ever stepped up his play in big moments.
I'm gonna be honest though. So far, Melo and Embiid are still worse than whatchamacallit, David Robinson and Chris Paul and Patrick Ewing.
I don't know about that, bro. I think with Melo again, if we're going off a standard, like by his logic, I feel like Melo's the one inconsistent one. Not that he doesn't even belong on the list. You could easily argue it. But with Melo, his standard changed into what we say about a player and then what ended up actually happening. With the other 3 he named, it's what they actually were doing and then what they actually did in the offs, except for Chris Paul, who I don't think should have even been here. So I'm going to say, Joel, you got some, because I ain't going to lie. Nah, I don't know.
Second
David
round.
Robinson.
Every time I say that, bro, it just sounds crazy.
Like David Robinson had at least that sweep where he was averaging like 25, 14 and like damn near 4 blocks.
Yeah.
So at least with David, he sometimes played good and it didn't matter. With Joel, I really struggle to just think of a series where I know he dominated. And the problem with that is even if it's true and there's one out there that I'm missing, bruh, I'm like actively watching basketball. I weren't watching David live. Like the fact that I could actually recall a series where David Robinson was dominant, but I can't recall a series where Joel Embiid was dominant. And I grew up watching Joel Embiid is kind of like a red flag to me. So I'd probably say Melo, you could argue, but I think it's inconsistent. But Joel, yeah, I'd say definitely was worse. But Ewing looked like he was falling off crazy. To be fair, Ewing looked like he was falling off kind of crazy.
Whether or not he was playing against Jordan. Simply put, Patrick Ewing was the biggest reason Patrick Ewing never won a ring. Number 5, Chris Webber. No matter how hard he tried, Chris never outran the timeout that he had while playing in Michigan. And
the one
unfortunately,
player I
his
just
penchant
never
for
really
coming up
tapped
short
into.
in big moments
actually gonna learn
continued
something
in his
here.
professional career. Webber made the playoffs 10 times in his career, and 8 out of those 10 postseasons, he saw his points per game drop from the regular season,
Damn.
while also
Damn.
suffering a massive
That-
drop in efficiency most years.
That's not
Some
good.
might say that he was
Yeah,
robbed
Chris
from
Webber,
his
the one
moment of
person
glory in
you can quiz me
2002
on
by
all
the
day and I
referees and
fucking
the
feel.
Kings. But even then,
I don't know why
in Game
it's
7
happening.
of the Western Conference
I think it was
Finals,
just in the
at
wrong
home,
era,
he
man.
went
I'm not
just
gonna
2
lie,
for
man.
9 in
True.
the fourth quarter and
Off the play
overtime,
style,
and
yeah.
that was the closest he could
Yeah.
ever come to winning a championship. Simply put, as an opponent, for all of his talent, Webber
He would've
was a
went
guy
crazy
that you
today.
hoped had the ball in his hands at the end of a close game.
He didn't
And
even
quite
shoot the
honestly,
three
other than
before he did
being
it.
called a quitter, that might be the worst possible thing you can be called as an athlete. Number 4, Wilt Chamberlain. Wilt is
Expected.
easily the most
Is that
successful
anyway,
receiver on this list, as he
expected.
did win 2 championships and a Finals MVP. Wilt, however,
Yes, I'm
is
talking about
a
the
victim
drop.
of his own success,
Nasty.
as he is one of the most famous playoff droppers of all time.
Not famous
a
enough,
single
though.
time
No
in his
cap.
entire career did Wilt Chamberlain average more points per game in a postseason than he did in a regular season. That's right. 13 times he made the playoffs, and all 13 times his scoring output decreased. It doesn't matter what stage of his career he was at, whether it was his scoring phase early in his career, his all-around phase in Philly, or
He
his
didn't even use
defensive
efficiency.
anchor phase with the
Just
Lakers.
pure volume
Wilt
always
was just
finding is a
not the
problem,
same
yeah.
animal minimal come playoff
Yeah.
time that he was in the regular season. And it's pretty puzzling because considering his significant athletic advantage over his peers, he should have easily won about 5 or 6 rings. It also doesn't help that he averaged over 30 points per game for his career in the regular season and just 18.5 in 6 finals appearances. If Wilt had been anywhere near as consistent in the playoffs as he was in the regular season, he would easily be the greatest basketball player of all time. And
Also, I think one of the biggest misconceptions about his career is this idea that he didn't have help at all. Look at those teams, bro. He had a lot of help. Especially in those LA days. Damn.
Like he said, GOAT even potentially, but them resumes for his teammates look different. The same way there's like 11 Hall of Famers from Boston. If it were more split, let alone if Wilt's team was the one winning them, Wilt would have wound up with the guy with like 11 Hall of Famers type shit. It was just a matter of who was winning those series when they happened, and it was not him. It was consistently not him.
instead, he'll have to settle for being consensus top 10 player ever, who had a lot of premarital sex off.
Oh my God.
Number 3,
Oh, okay.
DeMar DeRozan.
Oh,
There are some
wow.
players who,
Oh,
for
fuck.
whatever reason,
I was
just
not
are
expect. I
good
mean, you
in
could
the
argue
playoffs,
it,
and
but
DeMar
top 3, I can hear
DeRozan
this.
Julius
unfortunately
Randle is
one
on
of
his
those
way,
guys.
too. I'm not
And
gonna
it's
lie.
very odd because one would think that with his mid-range repertoire
Julius
and
Randle.
his footwork and ability to make tough shots, he would fit right in the playoffs when it slows down and becomes more of a half-court game. But instead, it's the opposite. He goes from being a 47% shooter in the regular season to a 42% shooter in the playoffs. And it's not like he's shooting many threes.
Free
throws still look
In
good, though.
7 playoff
You know?
appearances, he shot over 44% just one time, including
You're
4
nasty.
times shooting
Sorry.
below 42% and 2 times below 40%. But his struggles go just beyond per game averages. In 7 postseasons, not one time has his team ever had a positive net rating with him on the court or a better rating with
He's
him
getting
on the
cooked.
court
He's
than they
getting
do
cooked.
off the court. Overall, in 63 career playoff games, he has a negative 11
like
on-off
on-off
rating,
numbers when he's
which,
getting
trust
cooked.
me, is very, very bad. Fair or not, and I think it's mostly fair, the fact that the Raptors went from being playoff chokers to NBA champions the moment they replaced DeRozan with Kawhi Leonard says a lot about DeMar DeRozan's lack of postseason fortitude. Number 2, James Harden. To me, what makes a player a choker is consistency.
That's
Every
gotta
single
be up
player
here.
that you can think
He
of,
gotta
yes,
be.
even Michael Jordan, has bad playoff moments or bad
Maybe I'm tripping, man. Either Russ is one or he's not on this list at all. And that's crazy to me.
That's what I'm saying. That's why I'm saying.
I think he's a
first
bigger
of all,
choker than CP3, bro.
Chris Paul again, y'all. This ain't no Chris Paul caping at this point. I'm a Lakers fan. I have no reason to stand Chris Paul in 2023. Granted, he's a free agent now. I don't see top 10 even remotely. I think that's just a swing and a miss. Outside of that, even with my mellow bit, all troll aside, if you made it in this far, I was trolling. All troll aside, I can even understand why you put Melo on here. Chris Paul, hell no. And at that point, it's like, you're really not going to put Russ on here? Like, dead ass. Like, I was expecting...
Kevin Wayne?
No.
How is he not?
He is
How
not
is
a
he
top 10
not?
playoff joker. Again, he hasn't had a perfect career, but he is not a top 10 playoff joker.
Also, Giannis,
Oh
keep
my.
that shit up, bruh. Yeah. We gonna have these. We gonna pod one of these days, man. I'm gonna have a full beard once that shit happens, but you know.
Chat, and we lost him. Mind you, chat, this hasn't been my best recording batch. I'm extremely tired. We lost him somehow. Somehow he has the take that just goes overboard. Giannis would have to do a lot to be a top 10 playoff choker. B souls. No, he is not.
Okay,
in these
fine.
conversations.
Let's go back to KD then. Let's go back to KD.
Oh my god, how is KD in the conversation? KD
16, he choked. Did he not choke? He choked at 16, right?
He choked in 2016.
Hey, you're Mr. 0-6 in overtime. He choked in 2021, right?
I wouldn't put it all on him, considering half his team
yes
was
or
injured.
no, buddy? Yes or no? Yes or no?
I'd say gun to my head, Mickey, but like
He choked in 2022, right?
2022
Versus Celtics,
that?
first round,
Yes,
swept.
Boston first round. I think people were just stupid that year. But
Ah, this is
I
crazy.
counted.
Chad.
I said I counted. 2021 is iffy because
Okay.
2021 his roster is hurt. I mean, shit. The toenail argument is corny, but y'all put up the toenail argument. 2021 is very iffy to say he choked, even though obviously he choked in overtime. But choked this series is
2023. He choked last year, right? And like this past season.
2023. That's against fucking that's the Suns against Denver. I wouldn't say he choked. I think he just lost. You can lose without choking. You think every time someone loses they choke? He just lost.
He didn't play good, Sage.
He didn't play that good, but like, who played? Who played good for them?
Devin Booker?
D-Book was good for like 1 and 2. I want to say, right?
Cameron Payne game in that last game?
Campaign showed up for a game at all. Campaign was good for 1 game, though. Off, I could be wrong.
Didn't choke in 2011?
2011.
Yeah. Nah, I'm gonna let you sit with that though. Just
You're pressing an issue. Obviously, Kevin Durant is not a flawless player, but we are talking about 10 players. 10 that have to be on this list. Where's Tracy McGrady then, bro?
I don't know.
Exactly. Like at
know.
that point, I love T-Mac, but I'd put a guy like T-Mac or Yao, let alone, above Kevin Durant in terms of choking. Nah. And being said though, that's another concern, right? Like if you're gonna say where's Russell Westbrook, I'm scared he's gonna do his Steph Curry bit. I said pre-Curry when the video started.
He might take Curry out one.
I don't know. Again, it's 10 people, but I feel like there's definitely some names that belong more so than the names that he put on.
Shots or missed game winners, whatever. It's the real GOAT chokers, though, that you can count on to crap their pants.
But not to take away from James Harden belonging on
year,
this
the
list.
moment
That's
the lights
not a-
get the brightest. And James Harden is one of those rare
I don't even
few.
want
He's made
that
the
to be.
playoffs every single year of his 14-year career. 11 times in 14 postseasons,
bravo.
his points per game dropped
flamed
off
out
on the
every
regular
single
season, and 10
And that's
times
the
in
problem.
14 postseasons, his shooting efficiency dropped off from the
Every
regular season.
year,
But it's
y'all.
not just the consistent drop-offs from per game averages over the entire postseason that make
Notorious
Harden
one of
special. It's
18
the
type
individual
game.
meltdowns that he seems to go through every
Yeah.
single year.
Getting
of the
bailed
life
out
of the
by
Warriors.
Corey
And the
Brewer
thing
and
is,
Josh
it's every
Smith type shit.
single season. A 2 for 11 performance here, a 12 turnover performance here, helping
Yup.
miss 27.
There's
straight
always gonna be a
threes.
James
And he
Harden
does all
shitter every
this
year,
without
bro.
barely any
It's
clutch
always
shots on
I'm
his
gonna drop
resume.
30,
Honestly,
then I'm gonna
this
drop
season versus
combined
Boston was the
34
first time he had
games.
any
Like,
memorable clutch
crazy.
shots. And even then, after going up 3-2 in games 6 and 7, he combined to shoot 4 for 16 and 3 for 11. In clutch scenarios in games, he's been terrible. In elimination games in general, he's been terrible. And in the playoffs overall, he's been very
Ain't no
underrated.
argument
Simply
outside
put,
of I'm
he's
a
one of
Fear the
most
Beard
complete
fan.
chokers of
There's
all
no
time.
argument.
But he's not the worst. Number 1, Karl Malone. Karl Malone is the
Oh.
absolute worst. But enough about him as a human. Let's talk about him as a basketball player. He also happens to be the biggest choker in NBA history. One quick look
Talk
at his
about it.
basketball reference page will tell you, hey, wait a minute, Barry, but his
don't think
per
he's
game
won, but
averages in
we
the
gotta
regular
come along up
season
here.
and playoffs are basically the same. And that's true mostly on per
think
game
Karl's
averages,
won? I
but
don't know
when
about
you
Karl
look
being
at
won.
the
I don't think he's
efficiency
won. He
and
probably
I'm
could
not
make
just
like
talking
10.
about 1 or 2
More
than
percentage
T-Mac?
points,
More
okay?
than
That's to be
Russ?
expected when you go
Exactly.
into the playoffs and you're facing harder defenses. Especially when you're Karl Malone, the guy was built like a fucking bodybuilder. You would think he would get in the low post and fucking score more efficiently in the playoffs, but no.
But he
his
hates
career playoff
Jordan,
field goal
so the
percentage
guy
is
that
6%
could've changed
worse
that,
than
he
his
won
regular
most
season
shit.
percentage.
That
And
sound like
again, that
Embiid.
might not sound bad, but this guy played in almost 200 playoff games. This wasn't 1 or 2 bad years. This was consistent. 17 out of 19 years, Karl Malone shot worse in the playoffs than he did in the regular season. And the vast
There weren't
majority of those
meltdowns
times,
enough to
it
even
was
argue over
noticeably
James Harden, who
worse.
you
And I
just
haven't even
had.
talked about
That's
his
Yeah.
famous
Harden
free
that
throw
won.
problems, which came to light at the end of game 1 of the 97 finals. But I just can't get over how badly this guy's efficiency dropped off come playoff time shooting the ball. Down 9% in 87, down 12% in 1990, down 7% in 1991, down 10% in 1993, down 7% in
Yeah, that is
95,
bad,
down
though.
12% in
Yeah, there's
97,
drop.
down 6%
I'm glad-
in
like I
98,
said, I'm
down
glad Malone
8% in
on here.
99, down 9% in 2001. Over and
But
over and
I don't
over
know
and over
how-
again, this guy just repeatedly
do know
crapped
about
his
it. It's
pants
not
in the
one.
playoffs and was nowhere close to what he was in the regular season. And before you give him the excuse of, oh, well, he ran into Jordan, he played Michael Jordan 2
Twice.
times in 19 seasons. So that means 17 playoff series he lost
Yeah,
that
he-
weren't
he was
against
not
Michael Jordan.
the
Simply
East,
put,
y'all.
Karl Malone
Yeah.
is the biggest choker in NBA history. And I really don't know how anybody can disagree.
To me, it's James Harden, man.
I think you disagree. disagree, Barry. Honestly, like listen to yourself at clip 2 and the evidence you provided for clip 2. Listen to yourself at clip 1 and the evidence you provided for clip 1. And I think it's kind of a no diff. No disrespect. Like I think you like cooked yourself. One is so obvious by your standards, James Harden. It's not even fucking funny. Whether you want to apply social media standards of being the greatest offensive player, greatest scorer of all time, and then choking. Whether you want to apply statistical standards of averaging potentially 36 and 10 and then like 20. Like it's top to bottom. You didn't even bring up meltdowns for Karl Malone. You just said the efficiency drop, which is true. But like again, with James Harden, you brought up 12 turnover games and fouling out and getting benched. And yeah, nah. But I'm with you. I already know where you're going to go, so I'm going to let you out of the floor. I'm with you on what you're about to say in terms of the niggas not mentioned. I think he let a lot of people slide.
Yeah, I think number one, Chris Paul didn't deserve to be on this list. He just didn't. You know, he doesn't have the best playoff resume, obviously. But yeah, Russ is a much bigger choker with much bigger choke moments, and has more consistently done it with arguably better talent around him. So yeah, I'm gonna give it to Russ. Pause. Tracy McGrady, for the amount of hype that he gets, never getting out the first round is insane.
I know I've been flirting with who would be my 10. He'd probably be my 10 because he'd be the inconsistent one. But again, you can't call him the Kobe and LeBron are like that. But I'm telling you, this Tracy McGrady guy, you can't be that guy and then not. And I'm not even saying he wasn't from a talent perspective, but.
And speaking on Sage's exact same logic, Kevin Wayne. Kevin Wayne should have been an honorable mention.
Russ was on the team.
It's both of them, though. It's both of them.
It's both of them. Oh, my God.
You know what I'm saying? I think
I put Giannis on there, who's taking this seriously?
I think Kevin Wayne should have been in consideration, definitely. That's it, man.
Again, social media standards don't help him, but honorable mention for me, you was trolling. I'll probably say Julius Randle, dog.
I just need a bigger sample size. I'm not going to lie. I just need a bigger sample size.
I'm scared, bro. This is looking crazy.
Insane, like 20% drops, bro.
20, like that's what I'm saying. Like, yo, it's been 2 times, so fair enough. 20% drop offs, my nigga. Like, I think that's almost a fact. Like, damn, you go from 50 high 40s to 30, and I'm talking 30. Like, holy shit.
That's tough. Shout out to Barry for the video. It was a good video, though. Obviously, we just have some disagreements. If you want to see us react to another video from Barry's channel, go ahead and watch this video right here, or check out Barry's channel, man. I ain't gonna lie, we react to his content a lot. Go show him some love. With that being said, though, we'll catch you in the next one. Peace out, man.
Peace.